Welcome to another session of Just a Point of View. Today's a special edition. Got a topic I'm going to expound on. Some people may be aware of this information, and then of course there's others that have shallow information on this topic or may not have any information at all. Through this first part of this video, I will be doing some reading, and then after that I'm going to expound on the topic and speak on a couple of other topics. So the topic of the day is the death penalty and the execution of people in the United States. So first of all, I'm going to read something, and this is coming from Google. There was no executions in the United States between 1967 and 1977. In 1972, the United States Supreme Court struck down capital punishment status in Furman versus Georgia, reducing all death penalties pending at that time to life imprisonment. So just recently, we know that when our former President Donald Trump had left office, a number of people were put to death, executed, murdered. What's the difference? Oh yeah, before I go on to this part, in 1977, there was an execution in Utah. And guess how they executed this individual? By the firing squad. So they lined him up, gave him a cigarette, a last word, and blasted him on to the next life. Execution. So I'm gonna start this off with Lisa Montgomery, young lady, 52 years old. Did a little research. Some people say that she was mentally unstable, but she was the first woman to be executed in the United States since 1953. She was executed not even 60 days ago by lethal injection. The death penalty was actually reinstated here in the United States in 1988. And since 1988, three people were executed here in the United States. Until just recently, under the watch of 45th President Donald J. Trump, I believe, if I recall correctly, 13 people have been executed since June. I think it was 11 people, if I recall correctly. You can check the, go over the information if you like to get a more accurate numbers, but I think that's around about correct. Okay, from November the 19th, 2020, 5 people were executed. 2 more than had been executed in 33 years. For the last 5 people to be executed before conservative President Donald Trump left office, 4 were African Americans, and 1 was a woman, and that was Lisa Montgomery. During the summer of 2020, in the midst of social unrest, 4 Caucasian men were executed, and some people believe that this was done on account of the social unrest, and they didn't want to bring people, so-called African Americans, so-called black people, people of other ethnicities, to the death penalty, or to be executed by way of the death penalty. So they sacrificed 4 Caucasian men. And some people believe that the death penalty in the hands of the president, even in the hands of certain governors, some way of making sacrifices to a entity or energy that is on the outside of this realm, that it feeds off the murderous energy, no matter how it comes, through someone getting shot in a robbery, or someone being executed by the state of the country, so forth and so on. So Trump, I don't even want to, be bringing his name up, but the truth of the matter is, it is what it is, has actually sacrificed these people to an entity name, or go by the description of Molech, Molech. You can look that up. And human sacrifices is, again, it feeds dimensional parasites or entities. So on one hand, we got pro-life, and on the other, we have, anti-life. Pro-life, we want to, save the babies, and then anti-life, we want to execute the babies that grew up to be adults. So one could say these individuals didn't deserve to live, these adults. And some would say these babies didn't deserve to die. Not thinking that these men and women may have been some of those babies that were saved from being aborted, could have become some of these adults who many consent to being executed. But that's just something to think about. I'm just going to move on to the next topic. The other day I was listening to news station on the radio, and they were saying how Bill Gates was talking about how he predicted in 2017 that there was going to be some type of pandemic. And people are amazed at this prophetic manifestation of his prediction. I'm not. Because I'm not drinking that juice or that Kool-Aid. Bill Gates made this prediction because possibly he is in cahoots with a agenda to depopulate the planet. So Mr. Gates had a remedy or answer to stop the next pandemic that is sure to come. Donate billions of dollars into science and start to prepare for the next pandemic. That threw a flag up in my mind. I'm saying, why would Mr. Gates want to stop a pandemic when he is well known to be an advocate of depopulating the planet, or an advocate that states that the planet is going to be overpopulated in the future? Doesn't make sense to me. And if you don't pay attention to the fine details of the information that we be receiving, it'll fly right over your head. And on another note, people just think this planet cannot get overpopulated by human beings. There are so many places on this planet that human beings haven't inhabited. See, what they're talking about overpopulation is these major cities and these major metropolises and so forth and so on. And yes, they may become heavily or densely populated, but think about it. Will they be overpopulated? What is overpopulation? There's no food. There's no water. We know that that's not so, because the scientists and the people with great imaginations have created a food supply that's on the outside of the natural operations of receiving food. All this artificial food that we eat every day, chips, candy bars, and things that have been processed, cereal, so forth and so on. There's enough food on this planet to feed billions of people in the future. We throw away enough food every day in the United States to feed a whole country. Just think about that. And if you don't believe me, the only thing you got to do is pay attention. Go to McDonald's, the fast food places, the supermarkets, and see how much food that is thrown away every day. But some people, because they so afraid of the word socialism, they say, oh no, we can't be giving this food to people, this and this and this and this. We're going to throw it away. What sense does that mean? And I'm going to go on to the next topic, and that is socialism. Americans, especially Caucasian, so-called white Americans, are so afraid of that word because they had been programmed during the 50s and the 60s about the communists, about the socialist operation. And the people that's in control, they know this, and so they use this as a ploy to keep these people off balance or keep them in a certain debased state of mind when it comes to that. So they're saying that socialism is so evil because it's going to take away our capitalistic rights, or the way that we prefer the planet or the country to be ran. See, these are the people that have been heavily indoctrinated to the point that they are sedated. If you pay attention, capitalism, it is working, but it's not working. And that tells us right there that we need to make some adjustments. This is the wealthiest country on the planet. We had some of the worst cases of people not having adequate housing, food, medical care. Just because we may implement policies and operations that would guarantee people these life type of liberties to sustain life in a healthy, clean environment doesn't mean that the whole country has gone socialism and you can't still operate in capitalism. Common sense should be able to tell us that making adjustments to the capitalistic system is a no-brainer. It's just as simple as through our development and evolving and involving, that one time we used to use the reel-to-reel as a vehicle for music. Then we got to the 8-track tape. Then we got to the cassette, the DVD, and now things is moving around, wireless, MP3, so forth and so on. Did this adjustment that has been made devastate the receiving of music or even television that is now on a digital once it was on an analog? What happened is that some adjustments has been made to make the experience better. And capitalism as it is now, it needs to be adjusted, point blank. I know that some people are very happy about their circumstances and conditions, and that's okay. But it ain't all about you. It's about everybody. But if you think it's all about you, that's cool too. Because, that's our constitutional right. Our liberties. But in the big scheme of things, it's selfish. It's detrimental to the future. Because that's what we got to start thinking about. Where is this way of operation taking us? European Caucasians, brothers and sisters in the evangelical conservative parties and whatever associations, so-called African Americans and, black nationalists, we're never going to get anywhere continuing to fight one another. And I know that some of these fights and the resistance is necessary because of the devilish, satanic, narcissistic ideology of oppression and suppression of mankind because of whatever the differences may be, because of how we may perceive things. See, we need a reboot mentally. We need to be rebooted. We need some of these old programs to be done away with, and we need to have a fresh paradigm of thinking that is based on love and compassion. Because where we going at with this low vibration of operation and selfishness is going to get to the point of no return if somebody or somebodies don't stand up and take over the ship that has been where the mutiny has taken place at by the corrupt operation of the bloodlines and the organized families on the planet. Ladies and gentlemen, I done it again. Went over a lot of time that I had in my mind, but some information just have to be related. I want to thank you for tuning in. If you found this information, beneficial or interesting, give a thumbs up. If you haven't, give a thumbs down. It's just a point of view. Positive input, negative input, it can help. It's just how we perceive things. Peace, blessing, and grace. And remember, information is just a point of view. I got a point of view, you got a point of view, we got a point of view. And at the end of the day, that's all it is. A point of view. Peace.